All right, everybody. Uh, that light seems a little bright, doesn't it? Oh, that's even brighter. Hmm. Well, I don't know. I'll have to do for now. Let's see here. Let's see if I can fix that just a little bit. All right. Let's see. Will brightness. Let's bring down that brightness just a touch. And the white balance. Yeah, that should be good. That's a little better. All right. It's weird. I seem to have to adjust this every single time. Um, my webcam has a mind of its own. So tonight I am reviewing Highland Single Malt Scotch Whisky. Uh, now, let me preface this entire review by saying that I have never been a big fan of Scotch. Just not. I like Irish whiskeys. I like Canadian whiskeys. I like a lot of Japanese. Here's the thing: I like a lot of Japanese whiskeys, but I don't like Scotch. I don't know. I like a lot of American whiskeys, not just bourbon. Um, Pretty much Scotch is the only type of whiskey I don't like. I've always considered it the Emperor's New Whiskey. You know, meaning it tastes bad, and at some point it became like the go-to thing that if you want to sound dignified, if you want to sound just like, oh my gosh, I am so refined, I drink Scotch, you know, and basically everybody's afraid to say, wow, this kind of smells like a old shoe, uh, maybe a little, you know, and all these negative, like it's just this is unpleasant, but everybody's afraid to say that it's unpleasant. I'm not. I find it. I usually find Scotch is unpleasant. That said, uh, of the three most prominent Scotches in the United States, at least, are uh, even Scotch. I don't waste a drop. Uh, in with the three most prominent types of Scotch in the United States, um, Islay is my least favorite. Speyside next, and Highland is usually my favorite. I usually say if I'm at a meeting or at some gathering and all they have is Scotch, and I kind of need to, if all they have is Scotch, I'm probably gonna, you know, kind of blend in by grabbing a Highland. So Highlands are usually the safest Scotch, but every once in a while I try one just to see. You know, I think, especially if you're doing a show like this, or if you consider yourself a big whiskey fan, you shouldn't really uh, keep yourself to just your safe zones. You gotta venture out and do something that you might not like. So for that reason, every once in a while, I grab a Scotch just to see if there's some out there that maybe I don't like. So I mean, maybe I do like. Yeah. Same thing with wine. I'm not a big wine fan, but I'm not opposed to going to a wine festival with my wife and trying doing a sample of every wine they got to see if hmm. Um, I tend to like a lot. I tend to like pear wine. Not like it, but I can hang with pear wine. That's about it. So um, now uh, so on the nose, um, I get now. This is towards the end of the bottle, but um, it does smell a little bit like a wood shop, especially if they're shaving a lot of wood or basically if there's a lot of sawdust made from this wood shop. There's I know I read a lot of the sawdust thing, and when I first got this whiskey, and I was like, oh, sawdust? What? That's not what I smell. When I first got this whiskey and I first opened it up, I smelled a lot of kind of more of a workman's boot, and now I'm smelling a little bit more of the sawdust. So, yeah, that's on the nose. Yeah. It's interesting. What you smell at the beginning of the bottle, what you taste at the beginning of the bottle, and what your experience is towards the end of a bottle. At the beginning, like I said, I smelled the workman's boot, maybe a little bit of like patchouli or sandalwood. I'm not a big fan of earthy smells. I think most people that use earthy smells way overdo it, and I think most of them have a dead nose. A great majority of people that wear patchouli and sandalwood do not have a sense of smell, so they keep piling it on until they smell it, and then everybody around them is going, yeah. So, and that's why people who wear patchouli and sandalwood kind of have a reputation of, they stink and don't bathe. Well, they actually do bathe. They just pile on the patchouli and sandalwood until they stink. And that's kind of this whiskey has a little bit of that. The palate is kind of a I'm not sure what to say about the palate towards the end of this bottle. Mm-hmm. So this is welcome Two Wheels Down. This is Highland single malt Scotch, Trader Joe's, rum cask finish, dual cask, double maturation. Now the one thing I'm noticing is I don't really see. Hold on, let me put on my eyeballs. I don't see what is the. Trying to see what the strength of this is. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is 80 proof. It is like all Trader Joe's. It's sourced. They try and keep their sources a secret, but because obviously they just want it to be their own private label. But it is rumored to be sourced through Hamish Robertson and Company. Highland rum cask. I don't think it's a Belvini. This definitely does not taste like a Belvini. It's got kind of that. The finish has got kind of like that. Kind of that vinegary kind of a taste to it. It's yeah, it's if you like that, um, it's probably good. And here's the thing about my reviews is just because I don't like it doesn't mean you won't. Um, I'm not a huge Scotch fan, but I don't know. I see that's the thing is I need to actually, even though I'm not a fan of Scotch, I need to start experimenting with Scotch a little bit more. Um, because I am so much not a fan. I tend to stay away from it more than I should. So I end up not being a huge. Uh, I don't know the reference points of Macallan and Glenfiddich, and I've had them before, but it's been a while. So I need to get a little bit more adventurous with that, definitely. Um, so the palate is kind of difficult. It's a little mild after a week of aeration. Hmm. Now I've heard a lot of people, read a lot of people. I'm. I was just talking about just before you came on Two Wheels. We got Two Wheels down in the chat. Um, I'm pretty open. Like other than Scotch, I'm pretty open. And I find that interesting that I like Japanese whiskeys, but I don't like Scotch, which is strange. But I like Canadian whiskeys. I love Irish whiskeys. Love a lot of. There's a lot of Irish whiskeys I like. I do like a little bit of rye, which is kind of Canadian. Um, and then when it comes to American whiskeys, whether it's bourbon or like a wheated whiskey, or there's a lot of different variations you can do with the mash bill. I tried a rice whiskey a little bit ago, and that was really interesting. It was very unique. I don't think I'd ever tried a rice whiskey. So I've got I play around with a lot of it, but um, and I really do need to venture out and get brave and start playing around with Belvinis and Melcallans and Glenfiddich and maybe even if I feel really brave, a Lafroig. Um, uh, if I drink a mixed drink, it's usually either a Manhattan or an old fashioned. Um, those are my mixed drinks. But I would say that I read a lot of reviews on this that even fans of Scotch were not really impressed with this. Um, but uh, that the rum cask kind of took over too much, and it was kind of a little more overpowering than it should have been. They didn't get the balance quite right. Um, yeah, I do like a lot of Irish. I do like a lot of Japanese whiskeys. What confuses me is Japanese whiskeys are for the most part they're Scotch, um, most of them, and but I like Japanese whiskeys, but I don't like Scotch, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Um, yeah, lighter flavor profile. I like I don't mind the heavier flavor. I guess I just like a little more sweetness to it, and a little bit less. Um, God, what's the that one dish that they serve? That's um, yeah. The wood is different, absolutely. Um, so the wood is definitely different. A lot of times, the Japanese whiskeys uh, tend to go for more of um, an American cask procedure protocol than the Scotch whiskeys do. So, yeah. So the thing with this whiskey, the Highland single malt, is it's only $15. So it's not super phenomenal, but It's only $15. So if you like Scotch, and you're kind of looking for a decent quality daily whiskey, I'd say give this a try and let me know in the comments from you Scotch fans. What do you think? Because even though I'm not a big Scotch fan, the nose on this after a week of aeration is actually not bad. I got to say, yeah, I got that little bit of sawdust, a little bit of kind of a wood shop kind of a thing, working with your hands, kind of a smell. I think this would do well if blended with the right thing, because I think that there's some depth missing, there's some balance missing, and this could. I think this is the beginnings of a really good whiskey, but right now there's a reason why it's only $15. So yeah, that's my review. I think everybody should give it a try, and yeah, I don't know. But Two Wheels Down. Is that? I'm gonna just, even though my review's done, I'm gonna chit chat with Two Wheels Down a little bit, because if somebody comes into the chat room, I feel they deserve a little respect for that. So Two Wheels Down. Is that the name of the podcast as well? Or are you doing it? Well, looks like Two Wheels Down has left the chat. So I'm gonna finish this up. Yeah, Trader Joe's Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, rum cask finish, possibly sourced through Hamish Robertson and Company. Originally, in the beginning of the bottle, it was kind of a very pungent, made patchouli, sandalwood, workman's boot. Towards the end, it kind of gave a little bit more of a sawdust kind of feel. A lot of people say it's a kind of almost a rotting fruit or overly ripened fruit. But I don't get that overly sweetness thing. But then again, I like bourbon. So I like bourbons and American whiskey. So it didn't seem overly sweet to me. But towards the end, of course, everything was kind of dumbed down a little bit from the week of being open, the aeration. And yeah. So it's a lot more subtle, way more subtle. So this was a whiskey that I probably should have, one of the rare occasions that I should have reviewed it at the beginning of the bottle as opposed to the end. So anyways, that's the show. I will see you next week. I don't know what I'm going to review. I've got a whole bunch of Jameson's Irish whiskeys that I got back behind me. And I could do that, or I may do something else. I don't know. Tell me in the comments what you want. And until then, I will see you all next week for another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. Remember, always sip, never slam.